What is up, guys? In this video, we're going to be covering how to save the high score. Even when you do close the app, when you open it again, it should save this high score. So to start, let's jump into our game scene class. We're going to go down to our game over method because this is where we want to set the new high score if the points label is high enough, and also save it to our actual iPhone. So really quick, we can say, make a really quick comment saying save high score. Now we want to grab both our points label and our high score label so that we can compare the two point values. So we're going to say let points label equals child node with name, points label as CC points label, and remember to cast that down to that the CC points label. And for the high score label, we're going to say child node with name, high score label as CC points label. Awesome. So now we can compare the two. So we can say if the points label dot number is greater than high score label dot number, we know we want to save a new high score. So we're going to say high score label dot set to. So this is the reason that we implemented that in the CC points label. We want to set this to the points label dot number. And we also want to now save this score to the iPhone. Now to do this, we're going to use something called NSUser defaults. So to grab the defaults, object, you can say let defaults equals NSUser defaults dot standard user defaults. So this is the object that allows us to save scores to our iPhone. So we can say defaults.set integer high score label dot number for key. This can be anything you want. Let's just put it as high score. So now that we've set a value using these defaults, we can also use the same defaults to access them at a different time. So if we scroll up to when we actually create our high score labels, so right here, we can actually nab this value if it exists. So we can say let defaults equal NSUser defaults dot standard user default. So we're grabbing that same object, and we can say, okay, so the high score is going to be defaults dot integer for key high score. So it's going to grab the high score if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, it's just going to set this to equal to 0. So if we say put high score in the place for our CC points label, that should load that in if it has something saved from an earlier game. So let's run this really quick. I might already have a high score saved, so it might be 1 when we, the high score might be 1 when we pull this up. Yeah, so it looks like I already had that saved. Let's see if I can get to 2 here. So I'm just going to swipe and slide a little bit, jump over this guy, and then bam, game over. It looks like our high score over here got saved, which is awesome. Now if we restart this game, our high score is going to stay as 4 over there, and even if we close out and we run this again, the NSUser defaults is going to ensure that the high score stays persistent over multiple rounds. So awesome. It looks like our high score is 4. And that's going to be it for this section.